Okay, welcome to the final session for the first day of the 6th Africa DNS Forum. My name's Kevin Chege. I work for the Internet Society. I'm based in Nairobi, Kenya. And I'll be moderating this panel, which will continue from the theme that was discussed in the previous panel on business. And we're going to cover domain name auctions, developing domain name platforms, and then we're also going to talk about secondary markets for domain names. We have a very capable panel that is going to discuss these topics. And the way we are going to do this is we're going to have each panelist give about 7 to 10 minutes talk so that we don't take too much time, and then have an open discussion and Q&A. So this session is planned to be as interactive as possible. So let me make quick introductions and then we can start the session. On my left is Adesola Akinsanya from Upperlink, Nigeria, which is a registrar based in Nigeria. On my right is Joe Alagna from Afilias. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And Ahmed Landi from KeNIC is on my far right. So the way this is going to work is we have a view from a registrar in Africa, which is Upperlink, and we'll have a view from a registry, which is KeNIC, which Landi is going to represent. And then we're going to have a global view of the business, which Joe from Afilias is going to talk about. So without much more ado, I'll give the floor to Joe from Afilias to start, and I believe you have a few slides as well. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for hanging in there with us. By the way, I'm from Los Angeles, and it's 9 a.m., so I should be like really fired up and ready to go right now. Anyway, I do appreciate you guys, allowing me to, have this discussion. Thank you to AFRI TLD and to all of you here, the people of Benin that have come to see this. I hope we can give you good value. And I'm actually quite excited about this particular discussion because I came into this industry as a person who was interested in domain names kind of as an investment. I was a domainer, as you might say. But shortly thereafter, I found out about a registry, and they were looking for people, and I was very interested in the domain industry, so I went to work for them, and I stayed there for 12 years and watched them grow from a very small company to a public company. But after that, I went to work for 101 Domain. Some of you may know 101 Domain, and we focused on country codes. So that is where I gained a love for country code top-level domains, and I have that to this day. Of course, came to Afilias and focused on country codes still. So just a brief intro for those of you that I haven't met. I do want you to just talk about Afilias. It was easy for me to go work for them. They've been around for, a good 18 years. They're headquartered in Ireland, global footprint. Oh, if you can move the slide, I'm sorry. Over 25 million domain names under management. It's a very big challenge to scale to those kinds of numbers. We're a registry operator, a registry services provider, secondary DNS, and just in the last year, we've brought on 2 very important clients that are country code top-level domains. One of them was .pr for Puerto Rico, a smaller TLD, but also a very important one. And then the other one, which we just completed the transition last Sunday, was .au, which is several million domains and one of the largest transitions in DNS history. And we are committed to CC-TLDs. Next slide, Barack. Now, this is a slide I wanted to show last year in Tanzania that I did not get to show because I wasn't prepared enough. I didn't get my image done ready before the panel. But I have what I call the 5 pillars, and everything I'm going to talk about fits into one of these 5 pillars to registry success. And the first is transparency. I'm not going to talk about them at length now, but I want to just put this up there. The second is reach. How many registrars and what kind of a channel do you have? Something that's unhindered. A gentleman on the side there, I didn't get his name, but he spoke about this earlier, and he mentioned about, registries creating barriers to people registering domain names. So a registry to succeed needs to be unhindered. Security, we can't talk enough about that, can we? And then the technology. Are the things you're doing automated? Are things easy to do? Are they able to be done through systems and protocols? So everything, and then can we do one more click? And one more? What that spells is trust. Ultimately, if you achieve these 5 pillars in your registry, the ultimate goal is all about trust. Trust is as important as any dollar or rand or CFA, as they call it here, I think. It's just as important as any of that. In fact, it's more important. It's money in the bank, because if people don't trust you, they're not going to give you their money. All right, next slide. So I'm going to just talk a little bit about the history. Today, the topic is the aftermarket, okay? And I want to just share a little bit about the history of the aftermarket in the GTLDs, because history does repeat itself. And I've seen this already in some of the more mature markets. The United States, we thought .com was like .us. It was our domain, right? And it went through a process. And I still remember thinking, wow, there's 1 million domain names in the world. I thought that was like it. It would never get higher than that. And look what's happened. We're at like, what, 233 million is the last I read. So back then, .com, we thought that was it. And it went through these stages. There was word of mouth, okay? Back in those days, the trademark attorneys weren't involved. People thought it was fine to go register trademarks, okay? Obviously, those days are over, but, and that was a phase that happened, okay? And I'm sure there's still many people today in various parts of the world that think it's fine to do this, not understanding that intellectual property laws apply pretty much all over the world, especially in the domain industry. But then platforms started to come on board. One of the first ones was AfterNIC. One of the next ones was Great Domains. Do I have those up there? Buy Domains. A guy named Michael Mann started a company called Buy Domains. And Name Media, which what we started to see, and CEDO, which is around still today, is we started to see consolidation and convergence. So Name Media bought Buy Domains. CEDO just got bigger. Over time, Name Media bought Great Domains and AfterNIC. And you guys all know who owns all of them now, right? Well, why don't you go forward one slide? I'm going to bring you back, but it's GoDaddy. GoDaddy owns Great Domains, AfterNIC, it owns Name Media, okay? Can you go back one more? And then, of course, related to so there was consolidation and convergence. This is the natural order of business. It happened in the United States. It's happened in Europe. It's going to happen eventually in Africa. And some of you will be a part of it, and some of you may miss out on it, okay? It really depends on what you do between now and the time that comes. But anyway, going on, talking about the aftermarket. For a well-functioning aftermarket, there's other things that are tools that either can be created or can be partnered with. There was a company called Pool.com. This was a drop-catching company, right? So they would just go in and make it easy to do what many domainers would do manually at 2 o'clock in the morning. They would go in and look at the drops and present them in a easier to review manner. Snap Names and Namejet did the same thing. So they're great tools, by the way. For normal, we talk about SMBs and small businesses. These tools are still good tools in the United States for .com and for some country codes, because what happens is a small business is very focused on a particular vertical market. So if they are, let's say they're a dance studio, they want to look for keywords that contain dance and studio, and they can get them, and domainers are not always interested in them because they're usually interested in, let's say, lower hanging fruit or higher value generic terms. So, a particular vertical small business owner can really use these tools very well to get the names that they want. But again, consolidation and convergence. Next slide. Who owns, Pool.com has remained independent, but Web.com and Two Cows actually own both Snap Names and NameJet. So there's a lot more of this consolidation. And the truth is that, for the average person that wants to invest in a domain name because they think it's going to have value, it's easier in one way, but also there's a little bit of a mistrust because they know that those tools are owned by registrars. Okay? Next slide. So GoDaddy, Web.com, and Two Cows are the big ones. Now, let's just talk about the basic drivers of value in the aftermarket. One of them is usage, okay? Now, .com did not become as important, valuable, and large as it has because Verizon went out and spent billions of dollars on advertising. Did they do that? The answer is no. They benefited by the billions of dollars of advertising that was spent by Verizon, by AT&T, by General Motors, by Ford, and by every Fortune 500 company in the world that registered a .com domain. That's who made .com famous. It's also made .org somewhat famous. It's made .info somewhat famous, which is an Afilias TLD. It's made, many of the bigger ones famous, the advertising dollars of these big companies. And then you've got institutional usage. So these are the government entities. Now in the United States, most of the government entities use a .gov domain, but some of them also use .com or something else. Media, all the newspapers. I'm going to talk about that on the next slide. And then what I call the consulting community. And I'm really, amazed to see some of the knowledge in this room. I see, what Louis was talking about, what Zedna is doing. I think it's right on. I mean, it's really, really advanced thinking. So next slide. And, just look at some of these people and companies and organizations that could be using your country codes. Now, I'm going to say, we've all heard this. It's a cliche, but I think it's a really pertinent saying to the people in this room because most of us are interested in country codes. And what is it? It's think global, act local. Do you think that an American or a European that wants to go on vacation to, say, Kenya, okay, wants to, they'll probably think of a European TLD or maybe a .com, but the truth is, why do they want to go to Kenya? Why does somebody that lives in New York want to go to Kenya? What's the reason? Well, throw out a couple quick ones, anybody. Safari. Can you go on a safari in New York? Well, maybe. No, not really. They do call it a jungle sometimes. But seriously, they want something different. So why should you not use your country code on your safari company or your tour company or your restaurant? People are looking for an experience. They want something different. Has anybody ever asked you, and I know the answer to this, should I register the .com or should I register the .sn? They ask that question every day, don't they? What is the proper answer? I'll give you it. It's both. And I'll tell you why. Number one, register the .sn and advertise it. Promote it. Put it on your bags. Put it in your advertisements. Everything you print or talk about or write, use it in your emails. Use your .sn. But register the .com because it's a backup. It prevents some leakage because some people will hear your name through another source and just kind of think it might be a .com. That happens every day. So you should get both. That's the advice you want to give them, and that's what you should be training people. How am I doing on time? Perfect. So encourage your institutions to, use your domains. I'm not suggesting you don't have to charge them for it, by the way. In fact, I think it's important to, we talked about the beignet. People go to New Orleans, and the first thing they want to do is they want to buy a beignet at Del Mondo, I can't remember it. Some of you might even know. It's world famous. It's famous throughout the United States. They're known for their beignet. And that guy may have just had a little corner stand selling those little beignets one. He has a website now, and he's known all over the world. And he's got 6 or 7 locations. So the reason that little donut shop needs a domain name is because someday he might like to be you know, I mean, there's a donut shop on every corner, but don't you want them to come to your donut shop? And when I'm driving in my car and I want a donut, I usually look on my mobile phone. And then, well, maybe Yelp, maybe this or that, but eventually it's nice if you have control. Your domain name is the only real online identity that you control. So I just put these up. I'm not going to go through all of these, but these are places where if you can get them to use your domain, you're getting free advertising. And it's really important to encourage it. Next slide. So you need trusted systems, and you need market participants, aftermarkets, to work properly. You need buyers, you need sellers, you need brokers. In the domain industry, it's kind of handy to have drop catchers. Okay, I know some of you might hate drop catchers, by the way. We work for a registry. We know how they can be. So you got to have rules about that. That should be fair and transparent. And maybe not completely known. You got to be able to control it. But it doesn't hurt to have drop catchers, because a domain name is just a rental. And every year that goes by and it's not rented out is money you're losing. And then you've got to have stakeholders, and this is pretty much finishing. Oh, by the way, I did put in a couple of existing platforms that are usually anxious to partner with registries. These are domain sales platforms that exist. This is a Chinese one, the top one on top, 4CN, Afternic, buy domains. Even though they're owned by GoDaddy, they still kind of work independent. There's a company called domainagents.com, Cedo, SnapNames, and Uniregistry. These people will partner with registries to sell your, and be a little careful here. I do understand the issue of registry, registrar competition. You don't want to be seen as competition, but just know that these platforms exist, or you may be able to create your own. And finally, and I think this is last, one more click, and this is your stakeholders. And the stakeholders are your registrar's customers. They're your customers too. They need to be interested, they need to be involved, and they need to be invested. And you have to be a little careful and balance out how you deal with your aftermarket inventory. If you hold too much back, you're creating an obstacle for your buyers. By the way, I worked at a registrar for 5 years. I saw what happened when registries held all their good names back, or looked through them to see what was getting registered every day. That's not really a good way to do it. There needs to be a balance. There might be some extra revenue for it, and revenue is not a bad thing. Even if you're a nonprofit, you can do good things with revenue, okay? Or a government, you can do good things with revenue, but balance it out. An old boss of mine used to say, pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, okay? Just kind of balance it out. You may have heard it, it's kind of a cliche, but I remember him always saying that. Last thing, and one more click, and that is, Barak, the last one is, if you do all these things right, you literally can almost achieve a situation where your domains become liquid, where there is a market for them, where values are somewhat known, where people can become stakeholders and help you market your domain. You don't have enough money to do all the marketing needed for a registry that is global or even national. But you can find the people who buy your domain names that are excited about them, and every time a sale is made at a high value, and that makes some news, more people will want to register your domains. So, last slide. This is it. Thank you. And I'll just leave it to the rest, and we'll have questions.
Thank you very much, Joe, for that very interesting presentation and for giving us a global perspective of the business. If you have any questions, just hold your question. We'll give a turn to all the panelists, and then we'll have an open session for questions. So next, I'd like to invite Sola Akinsanya from Upperlink.ng. He's going to give us a local perspective, particularly from Nigeria, of the same business, how it works there. So, Sola, it's up to you.
Hello, everyone. So, my name is Shola. I actually work with Upperlink Limited, one of the registrars. And Upperlink is actually a software development company in Nigeria, licensed by the Central Bank of Nigeria. And we actually got into the DNS business like 4 years ago. That was accredited by ICANN, while we've actually spent like 8 years with NIRA. That's the CCTLD in Nigeria. Let me just quickly start by this. We actually wonder why most of the CCTLDs are actually not hitting the numbers, and what actually is drawing them back. The first two sessions that we've had today have actually dealt much on most of them, and we're actually going to be dwelling much on the domain auction. I just wrote down a few points, and I'm actually going to go through them. I said we have one of the most interesting digital assets we ever have. That's our domain name. And why is it interesting? Once you look at it, is that at a particular time, it's actually valueless, in the sense that you can use less than $3, $4 to actually obtain one, and at the same time, it's worth more than $100,000, and we keep on wondering why so many of our so-called CCTLDs are actually struggling, and they are not hitting the numbers. I'll share more points on our own CCTLDs in Nigeria. When they actually started, there were so many policies hindering them. Apart from, I'm not going to talk about the political angle of it, but they themselves are actually guided by this policy, which actually they could actually free up from. But you can see after 10 years, you can see the kind of numbers we're actually having. It's not up to, it's just over 100,000. So, but we actually had our first auction like a few months back, and there was no particular platform actually that was developed. We actually had this on a Twitter. So it was a Twitter handle. People had to though there were actually some processes that were actually used to do the auction, which we are actually guided by, and we must follow. The process is they still actually maintain the model registry, registrant. Now they like Joe actually mentioned some few minutes ago, NIRA is actually sitting on so many of those premium domain names that you actually be wondering what are they actually doing with it. And it's when they started, it got so crazy in the sense that they are actually asking for millions. And people were asking that, well, why actually do you want to sell this domain name for millions? And as time goes by, nobody was actually was buying them. And they came within themselves, brought down the prices, and nobody also was getting them. The first level extension, the .ng, was initially not available to the populace, in the sense that it was very expensive. If you want to get it, you must have your millions. And immediately they see the kind of awareness and that they are now actually hitting the numbers. They actually had to now drop down the price to somehow, let's say around less than $50 or $100. They actually had to drop it, and they started getting the numbers on the first level extension, the .ng. While the .com.ng, that one was actually like is available to everybody, and the premium domain names are actually what they are actually sitting on right now, and the first time of auctioning they did was like a test trial. Let's test this platform of using a Twitter handle. Let's see how it goes. And this is how it works. The client had to approach nearer releases, so we are only auctioning certain numbers of premium domain names. Gave it out to the registrar that these are the lists available. Now the registrars now have to now go to the populace and announce that, see, any one of you that wants this domain name, please, you need to actually come and bid. And the populace are not actually allowed to bid on their own. They need to go through a registrar. And there's actually a cap placed on it in terms of price. That this is the minimum price. And the highest bidder takes the domain name on the particular bidding day. So this actually sets the kind of first time an auction is done in Nigeria under the CCTLDs. So I also put down here some of the things that you actually need to focus on when developing an auction platform. First of all, and Joe has actually dealt so much on that when it talks about stability, transparency, reliability, trust. So once your platform is trustworthy, people come to it. Now we got to a particular point in time where we, on our own, from experience, we advertise these premium domain names to our client. And the feedback we got was that, oh, we are not interested because of previous experiences they've actually had. Now, under NERA policy, there's a particular clause that is there that they have the right to take a decision to revoke some names when actually maybe they've actually gone out before somebody have actually bought it, and they will tell you that, oh, it's a premium domain name, so we have the right to actually take it back. So that actually gave a no confidence in the system, and which is like a drawback. We, after doing some campaigns for people to actually come for the domain names, come and auction, only few people showed interest. And the major people that we actually know that they're like all these domineers and so, they didn't say, oh, they just gave their nod that, oh no, we're not interested, because they can come, they can actually reverse this kind of instruction that, oh, we want our domain name back, it was like done in an error or so on. So the auction process went smoothly, though there were some glitches in the sense that we have some instances where some bidding amounts were actually put forward, and at the end of the bidding day, the person that actually won was now trying to now change the price again. so that was actually like the system. Actually, if the system was actually a trusted one, that shouldn't actually happen. So it's like a drawback. So I'll just quickly talk on the secondary domain name market. This actually, Joe has actually mentioned some of them. It comprises of all these domain names that were actually being bought by people, and they now go to all these foreign sites to resell them. So they are actually owned. When you now take, for example, maybe it's your private domain name, or for example, those premium names that were auctioned, you now take it to another market to come and to go and resell for a higher price. So that is actually the secondary market, is actually for buying and selling registered domain names. And all those secondary markets is for everybody. Nobody is actually, there's no actually restriction within those places. They are actually free. And he had mentioned some of, Joe has mentioned some of the people that the investors, the marketers, also those people that are actually interested in these domain names. They actually sort of promote your brand, imagining your CCTLD going that far wide, and people actually want it. You can imagine a .ng, what you can do with the kind of extension. And a time came we had to open another extension, of .i.ng, which you can actually, they try to actually increase the domain count, where you can sell singing, riding, whatsoever you can do with .i.ng. So those are some of the things they actually use. So it's my take on the process we have in Nigeria is that there are so many policies hindering the .ng growth, and the earlier we try to remove all these bottlenecks, we call them bottlenecks, and not go into it. Though there's the aspect of the government end, because they are actually NIRA is actually controlled by the government end, and which they actually report to. So they are actually not so that free to operate, but they actually need to report back to them on this is the way they are actually running the business. But it could get much better, and we just hope that coming years the situation will change. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shola, for that perspective. Yes. I have a couple of questions, but we'll hold them till the last panelist gets an opportunity to talk. So we've had the perspective of the global business, and now registrar in the region, how the barriers that they are facing. I'd like now to introduce Ahmed Landi from .ke, which is the Kenyan registry, and he'll give a local perspective from the point of view of a registry. Landi.
Thank you very much, Kevin. My name is Landi. I'm representing KeNIC, Kenya Network Information Center, which is based in Kenya. I joined KeNIC about 3 years back when domain numbers were roughly about 48,000 domain names. I'm glad to report that, or rather to share with you that we've noticed quite a tremendous growth in terms of domain names. We're currently sitting at about 80,000 domains. It might seem a low number, but it is a good number for us, considering where we've come from until today. Now, I'm glad to be with you here today to share with you that growth with everyone here today. After consultations internally, we realized that the numbers were not good enough. Therefore, we felt it was about time to open up the registry for second level, because we were on the third level. So it was discussed internally and agreed that it's about time to open up the registry for second level. And that's why I'm here today to share with you that road. In July 2018, that's when the registry was opened for second level. That is about almost, almost 2 years now. We followed 4 phases during that process. First phase was the sunrise phase, which allowed trademark holders to submit application for their names where applications had to be accompanied by certified copies of trademark, which apparently was designed to run for 30 days. That period of sunrise phase was designed to run for 30 days. But due to demand and consultations with stakeholders and also approval from the board, it was agreed that the duration be adjusted upwards. So we settled with for 90 days. That being said, we also felt that a number of domains, or rather a number of stakeholders, felt that they were being locked out. They were not given an opportunity to register their domain names during that period, because of, as I said, it was only open for trademark holders only. And therefore, after that, after the sunrise phase, the process was now to shift to land rush, or rather to auctioning. So after internal deliberations, we opted to give it another phase in between sunrise and land rush. So we introduced a grandfathering phase. Grandfathering phase is whereby third-level domain holders, or rather organizations or individuals who held third-level domains, were given an opportunity to register domain names and to secure the respective domain level, second-level domain names. In other words, if I had, for example, a domain name called Landi or barak.co.ke, in that grandfathering period, I was given an opportunity to register a second-level domain, that is barak.ke, for example. From the grandfathering phase now, actually these applications were forwarded to us, which had, how do I put it? Application had to be accompanied by business or company registration certificates issued by Registrar of Companies in Kenya. And internally, it was a manual process. We received the applications, we go through them one by one, and certify if actually this is a genuine applicant, and then we place that application and inform them that that's okay, now you can go ahead and put your domain, or rather we can approve the application and approve the domain for the domain to go online. Then the third phase is the land rush phase, where premium domain names were auctioned, and the public were allowed now to submit bids for the names, for the name of their choice. After that, also there is another phase. I don't know if to call it a phase, but there was a cooling off a phase whereby now that gave us a chance to sit down and process all the applications and get back now to the applicants to confirm that, okay, now fine, this domain is genuine, or rather you're a genuine applicant, we can go ahead and make payment for the domain. Then came, after that, there came a fourth phase, general availability phase, whereby the registry was open for the public, or normal registration of the domains, open generally for everyone to register their domains, domain names. We discussed about which road or which roadmap to follow. We discussed internally as a team, either to build the platform internally, which actually we thought that it's a process which is cumbersome, considering that we did not have internal capacity to build one. We've never built any auctioning platform before. So after discussions, we opted to sort of lease the platform. So we leased the platform, or rather, I don't know if it is the right term to say we outsourced the platform. We rented the platform, in other words. Renting of the platform was paramount. It was a paramount requirement to ensure that transparency, gain of public confidence, and also to ward off any personal interest by the involved individuals in that. Another issue or another aspect which caused us, which drove us to leasing this platform, is to do away with the assertion that maybe if we had the platform internally, the system rather, or the platform was prone to data manipulation by staff. So we thought it's good to rent the platform. Also, technical staff they had administrative credentials, of course, just basically to upload domain lists, viewing the bids, customer details, etc., among others. The objectives initially was to receive 300 applications during sunrise period, and to receive 300 applications during grandfathering period, 300 bids for land rush phase. In total, we estimated to have at least about 900 SLG domain names by the time of opening general availability to the public. In terms of achievement, we got 200 bids during the land rush auction. We only got 12 bids which were paid and registered. But overall, we registered a total of 1,000 plus SLD names by general availability. So I can say that is a huge achievement. Strength, I can say on our part, the interface was rather simple, straightforward, user-friendly. It was a user-friendly portal. Clearly outlined processes that made approval by the committee simple. Public already was aware that we are opening up the SLD, so basically there was a ready market. And the platform actually was hosted away from KeNIC registry, so that is a strength on our part. Challenges, briefly, if I may. Most applicants did not understand why names were being the names that they desired were being held, or rather they were being auctioned. They are being put for bidding. Another challenge was due to registrar outcry on time and date extensions and other unforeseen circumstances, like time constraints. Dates of the SLD rollout kept changing. Being the first time, we took a longer period of time to get things in order. During the land rush phase as well, the auction portal received so many fake bidders who placed very high bids on several domain or premium domain names, which actually locked out genuine bidders. Those are some of the challenges we encountered. And lastly, areas of improvement. If I was to do it again, I think I'm very keen to learn from my colleague here, Afilias, because I'm sure he has experience with that. But all being said, the challenge actually was to curb away or to curb fake bidders. So maybe, I could be wrong, but maybe if we had introduced refundable or non-refundable membership fee for someone to access the platform, maybe that could have assisted getting rid of joyriders, if I may say, for lack of a better word, and also clear payment terms. By clear payment terms, I mean after bidding, registrant had now to be directed to KeNIC as opposed now to just finishing up the process from the auction side, payment is made, and domain is registered. I think that is all from my part from today. My name is Landi from KeNIC.
Thank you very much, Landi, for that presentation and giving us an update on how your .ke second level launch went. That was interesting. Now I'd like to open up for questions from the floor and also general discussion. So if you have any question, I don't know if there's a microphone. Okay, I see one question. Can we get a microphone? Do you have the mic? So I see one question from Abibu. Is there any other question? Okay, Abibu, you can go ahead.
Thank you so much for the good presentations and especially the experience from KeNIC on the registration on the second level. To my understanding, the registration on the third level is based on first come, first serve, which means you don't have to go to the register of the companies to check for whatever. And for instance, I can even register my name, not necessarily a company name, like abibu.co.ke. Now from your presentation, it looks like that you requested the register of companies you requested for the registrant to present certification from the register of companies. Now for the individuals who had .co.ke, how did you handle the case?
You want me to answer?
I think I was very clear.
Yeah.
I'm referring to .co.ke belonging to individuals and not companies, meaning that they didn't have certification from the registrar of companies.
Yes, I get your question very clearly, but I'm asking, do you want to pick all the questions, then we can answer them later?
You can respond to that as we take the next queue. So I see Lucky, Dr. Paulos. Is there another question at the back? So you can respond to that, then next is Lucky, and then Paulos.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Abibu. For any user on the third level, yes, you're right. You can just place your domain name. You can place your domain name from the registrar point of view and have the domain registered without any documentation. That is for the third level. However, there are other domain names, for example, .ac.ke. Those are for the institutions and universities. There's also .gov. That's for the government entities. Those ones you need to bring some sort of documentation from the ministry so that those domains can be put online. Same goes to schools and universities. You need to place forward some sort of documentation so that from the relevant Ministry of Education so that you can have those domains registered. I'm not sure if I've answered your...
Are you satisfied, Abibu, with that answer, or? Okay, let's. Okay.
No, basically, I wanted to have your experience in terms of, for instance, individuals who had like .co.ke, and they are not companies, okay, and they wanted to register a .ke, like abibu.ke, and you wanted a certification while it's not a company. How did you handle the case? That was my question.
Okay, thank you very much, Abibu. I understand now perfectly what you mean. The reason is simple. We kind of, we foresaw a scenario whereby you are given a chance to register a domain, for example. You have a third level domain, And we have given you a chance to register a domain under SLD, second level domain. Then you take that advantage to pick someone's name, for example, Barrack's or my good friend Bob's name to register that domain. But I know your name is not Bob, your name is not Barrack, but you've taken that opportunity now. You want to take that opportunity to register a domain which is not yours. So it's kind of filtering just to make sure that you own a domain which is genuinely yours, and you're not taking advantage to register a domain which belongs to someone else. So in that case, we'd ask for documentation from the ministry or any relevant body in that case.
But I would still keep my third level.
You'd still keep the third level domain.
Right. I hope that answers your question, Abibu. Yeah, okay. You can catch.
See me offline.
He flies away on Saturday, so you can catch him before. Yes. Okay. I think Lucky was next in the queue.
Thank you. Lucky Masilela from ZACR. Quick question. The auctioning, was it done at the registry or the registrar level with regards to the second level that you had? And number two, did you appoint a different administrator to the third levels to administer the second levels in this process? Or you had the same entity doing both the second levels, including your third levels? Thank you.
Thank you very much. To answer your question, I think in the beginning I mentioned that the whole process of the auctioning platform is rented out. So ideally, it's someone else running the platform. And if I can share with you the name of the company, they are called Islands Incorporation. So that actually was, the idea was to avoid the assertion that internal users or the internal administrator in KeNIC can manipulate data or the database to favor certain individuals or companies when it comes to securing those domain names. That answers your question number one. What was the question number two? Sorry. If you don't mind, please, can you your question number two?
His question was, did you have a registrar involved?
No, we did not. Okay, rather there was a committee which was formed specifically for the second level. The committee involved stakeholders, and registrars being one of them. The registrant, that is the public sector, and also partly government. So it was an all-round committee just to make sure that all interests are covered when it comes to if it's the government interest or it's the public interest. All those areas were covered. So it was a special committee which was formed for that particular task to oversee the whole process of auctioneering process.
Okay, thanks, Landi.
There's a second question that's not answered.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
The administrator or the manager for .KE and the second level and the third level, was it the same entity or just different entities for the second level and the third levels?
For the third level, we receive, or rather an end user goes through the registrar to register domain. So we as KeNIC, we don't deal directly with the end user or rather the registrant. You'll have to go through the registrar platform to register domain. I'm not sure if I'm answering I'm getting your question right, but that's how I understand it, the way you've put it.
So KeNIC as a registry is a registry operator.
KeNIC is a registry.
So it's doing both your second level and the third level.
Yes, correct.
Okay, thanks, Landi. I think there's a lot of interest in .ke's process. Maybe after this you can catch up with Landi also for more questions. Dr. Paulos, I hope it's not a question for .ke also, but...
No, yes, it is. So it's both no and yes.
Okay.
I wanted to maybe just comment on the fact that there are more and more second levels being opened. This is, I think, the way to go. So maybe just a comment. BJ is coming up, and they're thinking of opening at third level. My advice is not to do it at this stage. They should just open the second level right away. So that's just a comment. Malawi has always been at second level open. I have a question for Afilias. The question that we often get on .mw is, yes, I'm interested in a .mw, but I also want a .com. And you mentioned that the answer should be register both. It seems it doesn't work so far. So usually a client is torn in between the two of them. Maybe you can provide some reasoning at registering both, because they think they're paying for two things that will basically do the same thing for them. I have a question just for the panel. Price seems to be an issue in this forum for quite some time. And I wanted maybe a comment on, usually there is a breaking point for price. You start it at high and you keep lowering it until you get maybe a bump in the growth.